Hello, and welcome to episode 10 of TBR, the To Be Read podcast, where we talk about books, authors in the industry. And as always, I have Michael Laron here with me, and tonight we're joined with special guest Michelle Reed. How you guys doing?
Great.
Good. How are you?
Good. So before we get too deep into the show, we just had a bit of an announcement, some business to attend to. Unfortunately, Archer Caldwell has kind of gone dark and left the show. He's just made a decision not to take part anymore, and that's fine. We wish him the best, but he will not be on the show anymore. So Michael and I are going to continue, and so that's that. How's your week in reading been, Michael?
It's been pretty good compared to last week. I actually got quite a bit read this week. I finished James Altucher's book, Choose Yourself, which was good. I liked it a lot. I didn't have a chance to do. He's got like these daily exercises in it that are supposed to help you generate more ideas and choose yourself and kind of be the person that you've wanted to be. And I really didn't have the time to do those, but I think that's probably something I'll be going back to do. So
for sure,
it took me a month, but I finally finished it. And then I also finished up some books that were on my to be read list that I didn't quite finish yet. So I finished The Temple Is Not My Father by Rosanna Atreya. I was halfway through that, and that was she's a novelist and short story writer out of India who writes some really interesting stuff. And this was like a literary short story. It was about 40, 50 pages, so maybe kind of get into like not novella territory, but it was really good. It was really interesting, and I talked about it in previous episodes. But I also finished, what else did I finish? Well, I started Wool by Hugh Howey.
Okay.
So I'm only one chapter in, so I can't really comment on it too much yet. But I'm looking forward to digging into that a little bit deeper. And I also finished. Have you ever heard of James Shanop?
No, I don't think so.
He writes kind of like I do, the Choose Your Own Adventure for Grown-Ups novels. And I read one of his books called Murdered. And basically what it is what if you had to solve a mystery? So basically it's a novel that takes place in the second person, and it's in Brazil, set during Carnival. And you're the hero, and you witness a dead body on the ground, and things kind of just get crazy from there. It turns into like a thriller, fast-paced mystery where every couple of pages you're trying to solve what's going to happen. And I thought it was really well put on. It was really well written, and I think it's a really good example of what a Choose Your Own Adventure for grown-ups can be. It doesn't have to be for kids. Like, this is really dark and gritty and a lot of murder and violence and something definitely different than what I typically read, but it was a lot of fun. It definitely well suited for the e-readers. So
cool. That
is my week in review.
You've been busy.
Oh yeah.
So
how about you, Mich?
Yeah, Michelle, you brought some books with you?
I did. I brought a stack. Okay. I started trying to read this. I don't know if you can see it.
Yep, Divergent.
Yep.
Didn't like it at all. I barely got through like a few pages.
Yay, Michelle!
And then I started trying to read this.
Okay, the Hunger Games,
Yeah, because I saw the movies, because I always see blockbuster movies, no matter what they are. But I didn't like the book.
Really?
So I didn't read it, yeah.
Did you like the movies?
They were all right. Yeah, they were all right. I like the girl, of course. I just like movies, period. So I didn't think the story was really super great. I thought it was a ripoff of Battle Royale like everyone else, but it was okay for what it was.
Yeah,
I read.
Go ahead.
You liked it? Do you like the movie?
I like. No, I enjoyed the books, the Hunger Games series. I liked them.
It's okay.
I can't watch the movies. I think they're terrible.
They are pretty terrible.
And I will agree with you on Divergent. I actually read the whole book and hated it. Yeah.
It's not my favorite, but I know it's huge. Lots of people love it.
I think I've said before, I could see the audience that it's intended for, YA readers who maybe haven't read a lot, enjoying it because they won't see all the supposed twists and turns coming a mile away that we will because we've read more than 3 books. So.
Have you seen the Honest trailers for Divergent?
No, I think I do love that channel. I don't
It's pretty
know
funny.
that if I've seen the Divergent one. I probably have.
It's pretty funny. So these two books were left on my doorstep. I don't know if you saw that on my Facebook, Patrick. You probably did. I still don't know who left them there, but
really?
I've been trying to read them, and I was like, I'm not sure who those came from. Okay, so then I have this book, which my friend wrote, that I'm going back through.
Okay.
Faith Through Cancer by Bob Howe. And then I have this one.
Nice.
Stephen Colbert, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I just read, when I need a laugh.
And so what is that like? Is that like articles that he's written or something, or is it specifically?
It's like a big pile of garbage, really. But he's so smart, and it comes with little 3D glasses.
Oh.
Because the book is in 3D, parts of it.
Hold the glasses up to the camera and show us. I don't think that'll work.
Yeah.
It's really well done. I really like it. It's
wow.
Yeah, it's like a picture book for grown-ups. And it's
I didn't realize it had pictures in it. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. So I like that. And then I'm fixing to start Denise Grover Swank's 28 and a Half Wishes, because I follow her as an author, and I went to meet her the other day, or last week, or whenever that was. So I bought one of her books, and I'm going to start reading it.
Okay. Is that your pile?
That's my pile for now.
It's a big pile.
I'm just checking the comments real quick. We had Scott Richards checked in, so how's it going, Scott?
Hello.
And he said the first Hunger Games book was good, but I thought the last two were lacking. Haven't got around to Divergent. Watched and read the first Mortal Instruments, which And
that's going around too. That's pretty big.
Yeah, I haven't checked out that series. What's the Divergent series called? Like the first book is called Divergent, but this series.
I don't know. It doesn't say anything on here.
Yeah, they're all puns or they sound close to that, I know.
Insurgent, but I thought the series was called something else, but who cares because it's terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I should qualify. It's not terrible. It's not for my age group. It's not for it's for kids, and you know what? I would recommend it to my kids. Although I think my youngest read the series. I think there's like 7 books in the series, but the sort of the main trilogy, I think she said she was reading the 3rd book and just said like nothing happens. So
nice.
I think all the time we have you talking about Divergent, we could add them up and make it a single podcast episode. Probably episode 11, Why Patrick Hates Divergent.
and then of course we'd have to have the opposite, which would be like the James Altucher podcast. So
you should have him on the show.
Maybe someday. Who knows? Anything can happen. So my week in reading, the first book I finished this week was How to Market a Book by Joanna Penn. And that was unexpectedly a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. It's a massive tome of information. Fantastic read, and something that I think I'll be going back to over and over again, as she talks about not just writing and the book marketing, but everything else that she does, like public speaking and podcasting and all these different things. And so I'm not currently doing any public speaking, and I don't have any plans to anytime soon, so I kind of glossed over that section, but it's something that I would definitely go back to if I find myself in that position. The other book that I read was Mothers. Can you guess who wrote that? Michelle Reed.
Some nerd.
So that was me reading, as Michelle would say, a beach book for ladies. And I liked it. Certainly liked it enough that I'm going to read the second one. I already have that ready to go, Partners.
The second one's better than the first one.
Is it?
I'll tell you that.
Okay. So, that way outside of a genre that I would normally read. But I knew that going into it, right? I liked it. I liked the sort of the world that you've created there, and I'm curious to see kind of where it's going to go in book 2. I think so. You kind of think about these things after you've read them, and I guess the question I had for you, I was thinking about it earlier tonight. is The Witches of Eastwick, a movie that you enjoyed?
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it, okay. And that kind of, for some reason, just kind of popped into my head as
I'll see it
seemed to me
now.
like that was probably something that you've watched. Michael, are you aware of that movie?
It sounds vaguely familiar, but
It's a pretty old one.
There's no witches in my book, though.
No, there isn't, but just the tone and the
just like sassy and whiny. Okay.
Oh, you said they're not witches. You gave it away.
Oh, or are they?
Yeah, Jack Nicholson. Who else is in that? Cher.
Oh yeah. I'll watch it then.
Yeah, I can't remember. I can't remember who there's. Bette Midler was one of the witches.
Oh.
And I'm gonna have to IMDb who the third one is, but I won't do it right this second. And then so maybe if Scott knows, you'll weigh in the comments, so I don't have to look it up because I can't remember who was the third witch. And then sort of the third book that I haven't finished yet, but I started reading is Guardians of the Shroud by Scott Richards, who has joined us in the comments.
Nice.
So I was hoping to have that one done tonight. I got about a third of the way through, and really enjoying that one. It's well, I'll talk about it next week when I'm done reading it, but I'm enjoying it a lot. So that's a lot of reading from all three of us right now.
Yeah, it is.
And yeah, so, and we had some YA reads in there. Interesting. I think I kind of wonder sometimes if there's more adults reading these YA books than there are kids.
Yes, there are.
Yeah.
So how do you get your kids to read? That's our topic for the week.
You don't give them this garbage, that's for sure.
Or you do.
And you say, you can write something better.
Exactly.
Yeah. Reverse psychology.
My kids read and write, so they write books all the time.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, that's awesome.
They going to publish someday? That's cool.
Yep. And they know that they can do it. My daughter's writing, they love Minecraft, the game.
Okay, yeah.
And she's writing a fiction story involving Minecraft characters, and I thought, that sounds interesting, daughter of mine, and it's very good. Like, it's better than my books, by far. And
yeah,
I'm not
I've
lying.
heard
Really.
Yeah, I've heard Minecraft it's really popular. There's a lot of fan
Don't start playing it.
around it.
I won't.
Don't start playing it, Michael. You'll never write another piece of work again.
There goes my life.
Oh yeah, that game.
If they liked World of Warcraft or something, I would never leave the house. But we don't have that game because Mommy's not allowed to play it, or I won't fix food.
Yeah.
Or do anything.
Yeah.
So, Michael has a little one on the way.
Yay!
Yeah.
And Michelle, you have 3 little ones?
I have 3. And a lizard now.
And the lizard. You didn't bring the lizard? You didn't bring him with you tonight?
No, he's in the kitchen still.
And I have 2. I have 2 who are a little bit older. So my girls are they're solidly in their teens now, and yours are all younger than that, right?
Yeah, my oldest is almost 12.
So it sounds like they're solid little readers. Did you?
Yes.
Was there anything specific you did to kind of get them interested in reading?
I just read to them all the time from when I was pregnant with them.
There she is.
I read to them all the time. And I didn't read Go Dog Go. I read books that I was reading. So I was constantly telling a story. And if I didn't have a book, then I made up a story just all the time. So they just knew that you have the real world and you have story world, and they're really not any different. So just all the time make-believe is okay all the time because it helps you deal with real life, basically, in a nutshell.
And so was there, do you still read to them? Or are they kind of off on their own now?
I don't read to them as much because my oldest will read to my middle one, and the middle one who can read will read to my son who's 5. So they're 5, 6, and almost 12, and they just read. And I'll tell them if they're fighting or something, I'll say, you take them both in there and read them a story. And they'll sit in a little circle and do story time, and it works almost every time.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that is awesome. Get them started early, and they kind of just help themselves.
Yeah, it's therapeutic. It makes their mind go somewhere else, and it's like a distraction or a video game, and they can go and think about something else, and they're off in la la land, and then they come back and tell me ridiculous stories, and I'm like, see, it worked.
And they're making up their own, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you have a couple little Scrivener users there? Or are they like writing in notebooks?
They have to write in notebooks first. That's my rule.
Okay.
Is you have to handwrite it because they're young and they have to practice that for school because they can't use the computer at school. So I'm kind of mean about it. So they have to write it in a notebook, and then my oldest is allowed to use the computer to like map it out and add pictures and stuff like that. And she has several books on the computer.
Oh, that's awesome.
That are ready. I mean, if I were to publish them, I think for Christmas this year, don't tell her, but I'm going to get one of them and print it up for her.
Oh, that's really
cool. So
she
can put it next to my book.
That's a great gift.
On the shelf. Mm-hmm.
So do they...
the cover and everything?
Mm-hmm.
Do your kids read like mostly paper books? Do they use the Kindle, or like are they electronic readers?
They are not electronic readers. The electronics in our house were supposed to be for books, but they didn't like them as much as paper books that they could hold in their hands.
Sure.
So now the electronics are for games, and we only use paper books.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
That's their preference. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some people just prefer the physical book, and you know, my kids are the same. Whenever I see them reading, it's always a paper book for a generation that grew up with iPods and iPhones and you know, all the technology you can imagine. For some strange reason, when they're reading, they still prefer the paper book.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that's interesting. And my kids didn't really express much of an interest in reading until just maybe really even just last couple years, and I've always tried to kind of gently push them to it, and you know, I'd give them books for Christmas, birthdays, and not try to, I mean, they've always known how important reading is to me, but I tried not to push it on them too much, because you don't want to, you know, you don't want to make it a punishment, you don't want to make it you know, you want it to be enjoyable, and so over the last year or so, they've really just kind of started to find things that they like, and I really do appreciate these YA kind of blockbusters. I think that's gone a long way because everybody's reading them. Their friends are reading them. Their teachers are reading them in class. So they've really just kind of been inundated with all of these books that were kind of meant for their age group, and those books have always been around, but it's really just the last few years I think that they've just taken off as blockbusters and movies, and so that's been a good thing. So I go ahead.
Ours started with Harry Potter. If you'll get your kids to read the same book as you, or whatever they're into, if you'll read it too and then interact with them, they will love it. Yeah. They'll love it so much. So we started with Harry Potter on that, and me and my daughter could talk about Harry Potter all day long.
And it doesn't hurt when there's movies to go along with it, especially Harry Potter, because those are good movies, right?
They really were.
Yeah, so that I think that helps too, that they may fall so deeply in love with those movies that might lead them to the books, or they might have read the first couple books and then the movies come out, and that just kind of gave them more love for the series. And
we also don't allow ours to watch the movie until they've read the book, if it's something like Harry Potter that I enjoyed so much, and I'll tell them they have to read the book first, or all the books. So it's kind of like a special treat. The movies kind of freaked her out, though.
The Harry Potter ones? Why is that?
Children don't like things that don't have noses.
Oh, okay. I can see how that could be scary.
Voldemort.
Don't say the name.
No, it's like, it's Ralph Fiennes. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, it's imagination, fairy tales, right? It's not real.
I'm just gonna jump into the comments here and see if we've got anything new here. Oh, we've got Buddy in the comments here. Hi, Buddy.
Hi, Buddy.
Hey, Buddy.
He's got the coolest name ever.
Yeah, he does.
And we have Liam here, too.
Yeah,
hi, Liam.
Liam.
Witches of Eastwick. Oh, here we go. Scott, I don't know if he looked it up or if he just knew. So, what is so Cher, Susan Sarandon, that's it.
Mm.
Michelle Pfeiffer, Veronica Cartwright was the main cast. He says, I haven't watched it, so I don't know who the witches were.
That's a
I
great
could have.
cast, though.
I said Bette Midler, didn't I? I could have sworn and thinking. So maybe I guess maybe she wasn't in that, but
Bette Midler was a witch in Hocus Pocus.
maybe
That's what
that's
I'm
what I
thinking.
was
Yeah,
thinking of. Yeah, she has been a witch, but not one of these.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great old movie. That's a classic, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Jack Nicholson playing Satan is.
Oh dear.
How can you possibly go wrong? He's very perfect for that role. I think the only other actor I've seen kind of do a better job of playing that role, and I'm not going to remember his name, but now I can't even remember the name of the show. So if it pops into my head, I'll tell you.
You'll think of it.
Yeah, I'll think of it
eventually.
I'll think of it at 2:00 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So I was curious, Michelle, did you read a lot as a kid when you were reading? Because it's a lot of the stuff you're talking about. It's just really awesome ideas, and how did you come up with them?
I did. I read like Anne of Green Gables and things that were like long series of things, and I was Anne of Green Gables. I always had my head in the clouds, and I wanted to be a different thing every 5 minutes, which I think is perfectly normal. I was told a lot that it wasn't normal. Like, you can't want to be a ballerina and a teacher and a marine biologist in the same day, and an actress, but I just loved it. It teaches you how to handle real life by reading how other people handled life.
Yeah, my
I
family
really liked it.
my family was a big reading family, and so I read a lot when I was young. But I also found that I was trying to read a lot of books that I didn't reading a little bit over my head, I guess. Like, and I know my kids have experienced that too, where they maybe tried to start reading The Hobbit a little too young. And for me, I remember reading the first book in Isaac Asimov's Foundation series.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little too young to enjoy it, and of course, then I went back to it years later and just fell in love with him as an author.
My husband likes him.
Yeah, so there is such a thing as, I guess, pushing these books on. I could see you were talking about Harry Potter, trying to get your kids interested into a series like that maybe just a little too soon, and they get scared, like you said, with the guy with no nose. And
yes, but go ahead. You go first.
Go ahead.
Well, some kids are more bent to that sort of thing. Like, you're not a girl, so you won't have watched Gilmore Girls. But the daughter in Gilmore Girls, she loved to read all of that stuff that wasn't magical and whimsical. It was more over her head reading.
Mm-hmm.
So just whatever your kids are bent towards, give them that and give them a lot of it. And if they tire of it, give them something else. But I didn't care. Like, in high school, we would have to read things like 1984 and Beloved, and I was like, I don't want to read this. This is dumb. I'm not getting anything from this. It just makes me sad.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have to read what you have to read in school, but I like more magical things.
Yeah, I found the same thing. Like, my kids are going through the same thing that I did when I was in high school, which was, they were just reading To Kill a Mockingbird, which I know that book tops a lot of people's, favorite books lists. But for a 13 or 14-year-old, I mean, it's just too much, especially if the teacher doesn't have the time or doesn't take the time to explain things. Like, she was the phrase that kind of jumped out for her was, she was like, basically she's saying, I don't understand what I'm reading. They talk about foot washing Baptists. How is she going to have any idea what that is? And of course, there's going to be a lot of that throughout a book like that that was written so long ago. And I would much, much, much rather that they gave them just kind of a general love of reading, and then, you know what, if you want to go to university and specialize, read those books then. Read some. I'd rather have them reading some Stephen King, some J.K. Rowling, just a little bit of everything. Touch on some different genres. It doesn't all have to be literature.
Right. What if your kid likes self-help books or only nonfiction?
Yep.
Yeah.
They might grow up to be a scientist.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And I struggled that.
It's interesting.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Patrick.
I was just going to say I struggled with the exact same thing when I was in high school. I mean, I believe they literally teach you to hate Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, yes.
I still don't enjoy Shakespeare. They teach you. The only thing I enjoyed about it was watching Patrick Stewart, because he's of course in every old black and white movie that they ever. He's in every single one of those movies, right? And so I looked it up while we were talking there. It was when I was talking about Jack Nicholson was a great Satan. The other great one was. Did you ever see the show Reaper?
No.
Ray Wise is a fantastic actor who played Satan on that show, and he was in. He kind of pops up all over the place. I think he was in The Winter Soldier as one of the sort of head people in the group that were managing S.H.I.E.L.D. And
you still haven't seen it.
Oh no.
Oh no.
It's a good one.
I know. I heard it's the best one.
I'm gonna go see Guardians.
I like the first Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
you did or didn't like it?
I like the first Captain America, but I haven't seen Guardians.
Oh, it's so good.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, go see it for sure. And that's
comics is reading.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's especially when they're younger. You know, for years the kids when they were reading. I think this is maybe one, Michael, you mentioned last week, was like the Captain Underpants.
Yeah.
I can't. Some of the other ones I can't remember.
Or like Pete the Cat or something.
Pete the Cat.
He's cute. That's a younger one.
I think kids should. I think graphic novels should also be taught in high school, in middle school, because I think that they have a. It's interesting because they're not quite comic books, but they're not quite novels, and I think that. I don't know. It just seems like young adults can relate to them, can relate to graphic novels a lot more. I feel like teachers will be able to teach.
One of the interesting things
I
noticed, a couple years ago too. It's weird how a lot of the publishers are sort of repurposing old books as YA that never fell into that genre before because it's become such a big thing. And so the example that jumped out at me was I kept seeing Ender's Game. As of course leading up to the movie coming out, all of a sudden it was popping up in the bookstore in the YA section instead of science fiction. They've got a new cover. They've put it in the new that kind of bigger paperback, like the trade paperback format. Shiny new cover facing out to attract the kids, and I mean you can't blame them. It
worked.
Maybe wasn't written as YA, but there's nothing in it that you wouldn't want your kids to read necessarily. So it's an interesting tactic.
I wouldn't call Ender's Game YA, but I can see why they did it. Because isn't he like 6 or 7?
Something like that, yeah. Ender.
Yeah. I mean, I think his older brother and sister. I mean, Violet and Peter. I think they're close to their teens, but I don't think they're even teenagers.
Yeah, and there is some stuff in that, aside from Ender's story himself, some of the stuff that his brother and sister are going through might be a little over a YA head's like a YA audience's head. But in general, I can see them enjoying, of course, all like the spacey stuff.
Yeah, and the action sequences and all of that. But yeah, we have some more comments.
Yeah, go ahead.
We've got quite a few, actually. Okay, Quotidian Light is here. She says, I have a theory. When kids and adults want to be everything at the same time, they're meant to be writers.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good idea. And then she also says, oh man, Mortal Instruments. I got through 3 of them, and the repeating metaphors made me want to toss it across the room. I just couldn't do it anymore. I hate reading a great story that completely tanks in the execution. Scott Richards says, I know, right there with you. I like urban fantasy, but I'm sick of the obligatory love triangle. The series had a strong premise, but ultimately it just didn't seem to add anything interesting to the genre. But it was just a rehashing of the old tropes.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't read it, so hard to argue, but I'll probably take the word for it.
I write urban fantasy, and I did not write a love triangle on purpose.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not crazy about love triangles either.
Mm-mm. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, it's a real trope now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. Well, I guess could you tell us a little bit about your books, Michelle?
They're goofy.
Maybe a smooth transition.
Yeah, they're goofy and they're short because I don't read very long books. So I think the first one's like 160 pages or something. But it's about a mom who moves back to her hometown and people are acting weird and she doesn't know why. And then later she finds out why, but she's like real super dramatic about it. But they have the women in the town have superpowers. So in real life, whatever moms have, like if you're extra observant or if you're extra patient or extra pretty or extra sweet or organizing, that's your superpower. And it was kind of, I just wrote it to because moms go unnoticed a lot in what we do. So I was like, I see you, I see what you're doing, and I'm going to write a book about it.
That's cool, and there's a lot of crying.
There's a lot of crying.
So how many books are in the series?
There will be 3. There was going to be 4, but there's going to be 3.
So you're going to start wrapping that up soon?
Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you about the second book, but the second book, which is better on all accounts, I have heard, and somebody dies, dun dun dun.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. The second book is about a different set of people. So it's still told from the mother's point of view, but it's about a different set of people. And the third one is something else.
Oh. Keep mixing it up. Keep it interesting. It's cool.
That's good. And just looking at the comments here, I was going to say it looks like Maya got her new headshot. It looks good, Maya.
Yeah, it does look really good.
So we have any other new comments? You were just going through them, Michael, so I don't really know immediately what you've gone through. And
yeah, I don't see any other comments.
Take a look here. So we're coming up on just over half an hour. You have some good plans then, Michael, for getting your kids to read? Kid?
I don't know yet. It scares the heck out of me, to be honest with you, because it's like I don't want her to grow up and not read, but at the same time, it's like I don't want to be that dad that it's like that steers her toward hockey when she doesn't want to play hockey, kind of thing. So I don't know.
But you have to know how to read.
I'm thinking I'm definitely gonna read and read to her. Oh yeah, you do. I'm definitely gonna read to her, and that'll be an important part. Something we can do together.
Just read whatever you're reading. If you're cooking,
probably use some of the rules. Yeah, I'll have to use some of your rules, Michelle. I'll have to be mean dad if she's not gonna.
I just made them up just now, so.
The one comment I did notice, I don't think you read this one, Michael, was Scott Richards weighing in on your idea. He says, Michelle, that's brilliant. I love that idea. It's more creative than just timeout, but has the same effect. Well done.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Thank you.
Missed that one. Yeah, you do have some awesome ideas. Because I was struggling with the topic. It's like, I don't have kids, and it's like, how do I get my kids to read? And yeah, you got me thinking about some.
How did your parents get you to read?
Well, I was always a reader. My mom loves to read. She reads romance novels and nonfiction. She likes a lot of that. So she was always reading as I grew up. But I think my grandfather got me hooked on phonics. My grandfather and I, when I started. You guys remember those?
Yeah.
You get the audio cassette tapes and you listen to them. And so I was reading, probably at an advanced level before I was out of kindergarten / first grade. And I had a really good kindergarten teacher that did a good job in instilling the love of books in me, and as a kid, another thing I liked was Wishbone. Did you guys ever watch Wishbone?
I don't think I remember that.
Oh man,
I remember that name.
Yeah, it's about the Jack Russell Terrier that loves to read.
Oh yes.
In every episode, it's a different book, and he's like the main character in that book. And it's like all these people dressed up, as these characters from books, and there's this dog. I used to love Wishbone, so I watched that as a kid too, and that was really good stuff. A lot of the PBS programming here in the States was really good. Wishbone, Arthur.
I love Arthur. It's my favorite show.
Yeah, Arthur's awesome.
Isn't there some big push recently to get Reading Rainbow back on the air?
Yeah, he's working.
I know he just did a
hard.
Kickstarter campaign.
Was it a Kickstarter? Okay.
He's got his new app out and he's working on it.
Okay,
yeah,
that's cool.
I watched Reading Rainbow as a kid too. That and Sesame Street and did you guys ever see Skinnamarink TV?
Yes.
I think so.
I can do the whole thing.
I like shows like that. I mean that's educational. It's good for the kids, and you never forget it growing up.
You really don't.
Was the Hilarious House of Frankenstein ever a big show for you guys in the U.S.? Now it might be showing my age more than anything in this case. It was just a crazy. I'm sure Buddy remembers that show, if it was ever kind of a big thing in the U.S. But not to call you out on your age, Buddy, but it was.
Buddy's like 30.
It was a kind of a sketch show, really crazy '70s stuff. But they had Vincent Price on, and every week he would read a poem, and so it was about reading, and so it was kind of like Sesame Street, but it was had Frankenstein and Dracula and the Wolfman. It was crazy.
I'm going to watch that now. I'm going to look it up because Sesame Street with Vincent Price.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of that reminds me of like Eureka's Castle. Did you guys ever see that? It was kind of similar, except it was with puppets. So.
Let's go all be kids again, shall we?
No, thank you.
Yeah. I never grew up, so.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm happy being a 12-year-old stuck in an adult body.
Yep.
I'm turning 12 tomorrow, so.
Yeah. I always say I'm 12.
There we go. That's good. That's definitely a good way to stay creative too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't think we have any new comments. And Michelle, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show tonight. It's been great having you.
Having me.
You come back anytime.
Thank you very much. I will.
And where can people find you in your books, Michelle?
Yeah.
Well, they're on Amazon right now, and then if you go to facebook.com/author Michelle Reed, I'm over there. I think that's right.
Throw that in the show notes.
and I mean that's Facebook's kind of your primary sort of hangout, right?
Yep, I'm on there all the time.
That's good, and I think go pick up Mothers and Partners. All you folks in the comments are listening after the show.
Yes, indeed.
And we will definitely talk to you soon, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on.
Michelle.
Night, guys.